SYAC means to me, it really is a vision of something that youth and young adults and older adults came to make a reality. Basically, SYAC is a form of youth voice that is able to advise the Massachusetts Department of Mental Health on how to better improve their services for youth transitioning from adolescence to adulthood. SYAC, I feel, provides young people a place where they can discuss issues that are important to them, where they can collaborate and decide how services can be improved, and how they can get together and, make friendships. I think it's a place where young people can become more leaders and learn how to advocate and speak up.
The Youth Development Committee was a group of interagency folks who met every month at the department and really talked about accomplishments around interagency work. This was chaired by young adults who were becoming a little bit restless at this meeting and really wanted their own meeting. They wanted to talk about their own agenda and what was of interest to them, and sometimes the interagency world and the research world and the provider community was not of specific high priority for them. So at one prep meeting Annabelle and I were having with the chair, Jessel Paul Smith, he said, I'd really like to start a group of young adults to meet on a regular basis and just talk about what we'd like to talk about. And Annabelle quickly said, well, I think that would be a great idea, and we could probably recruit a lot of young adults from the areas, and they would be interested in talking about a lot of what they're doing.
The Youth Leadership Development Committee was a small but dedicated group that met weekly and discussed the issues that were important to them and how services could be improved. They also prepared to present their thoughts to stakeholders and conferences around the state. We also presented around the country. We once went to Washington, D.C. and presented to in Congress and spoke to them about how important services were for young people. And with the success of the YLDC, other areas in the state wanted their own committees, and I helped go around and set up these committees, and naturally there needed to be a governing body where representatives would come from each area, and that ended up being the Statewide Young Adult Council. I was the first co-chair of the Statewide Young Adult Council. I actually helped create the council, and I worked for the Transformation Center while I was creating it, and worked with the Department of Mental Health to get that done. So.
And it was just a great group. So over time, some of the accomplishments, like the one Ann had mentioned, they actually provided some feedback to the CANs way before even CBHI really got kicked off the ground. They provided feedback on the CANs assessment in terms of you should really have this young adult piece and what should be more included and what's really key relevant issues to young adults during that time. So they provided feedback on the CANs and the design and development of that. They actually also met with Emily Sherwood at the time, who was working on the CBHI initiative, and they met with her to give her some ideas in terms of what are key components around what young adults really need when it comes to mental health services and behavioral health services. And one of the things they pushed and really supported was the importance of peer mentors. So it's great to see that, coming back around.
We came together, to assist each other, to be a group that had a voice, and people, honored and reached out for that voice. You know, people like Robert Whitaker came to our council once to interview us for one of his book, which was actually included in the book, a short portion. They came to discuss the CANS assessment when that was being developed, and we made meaningful changes to that.
They were also really big in helping with the Caring Together initiative. At the time, Deputy Commissioner Mukula had asked our two co-chairs at that point to run focus groups with youth and young adults who were in residential groups to find out what was really going on, what do young adults, see as the need, how could they improve the residential system. And a lot of the feedback that was gathered from that, not just from SYAC, but from focus groups that our two SYAC co-chairs at the time, Emily and Stephanie, they went out and did with the Transformation Center through those focus groups, and a lot of the feedback got put into the Caring Together RFR. That was another huge accomplishment of SYAC. 2014, I believe it was, the SYAC received an award from Work Without Limits with UMass Beneplan for a Leadership Voice Award. And that was a huge accomplishment for SYAC. They've also contributed a lot of feedback and advice towards the tip sheets that UMass Transitions RTC. They've been a great partner with the SYAC. Young adults from the SYAC have provided feedback on those. They've also participated in a couple of policy development. They have reviewed different documents like the Strengths Inclusion Position Statement that was developed by youth. SYAC had a chance to weigh in on that and provide feedback to that as well. We've had other agencies come in that aren't even mental health related but really want the young adult voice, input, experience, and expertise. And SYAC has always been available to those guests, whether they're mental health related or not, in providing additional young adult feedback.
SAMHSA asked for our advice on a marketing campaign in relation to, staying friends with people who had psychiatric disorders and how to do that and broach the subject and things like that. So, it really felt like for me when I was in my younger years in relation to my diagnosis, like my diagnosable symptoms and those experiences and that part of my character were the things I wanted to get away from the furthest. And the Statewide Youth Advisory Council to me really felt like a place where that kind of stuff, it was like a first junction into peer support, a first, avenue where all of a sudden these kind of experiences became valuable and important.
I think they've been seen as experts in education, housing, employment, in a variety of areas.
So what I like to do is always start the meetings with like an icebreaker. And after doing that, people usually felt more comfortable and at ease. And a spirit of friendliness would come upon the group. And the good thing about it was everybody would really listen to each other and be intent in considering everybody's viewpoint. And the lunches were usually pretty great. And I really appreciate everybody's friendliness.
As goofy as they could be sometimes, I always love the icebreakers. That's my favorite memory because everyone just comes in with such a funny perspective, and it just really makes for like a fun environment, and also it's kind of a little goofy, so you start off kind of breaking the ice literally, where you feel a little more okay opening up about serious things because everyone's kind of cracking jokes and stuff.
We always started off with an icebreaker. We started off with an icebreaker where we played this trivia baseball game, and the meeting's 2 hours long with like a 15-minute break in the middle, and the icebreaker ended up taking like over an hour, and I don't think we got much done in that appointment, but it was so much fun, and it was just a good group of people to be around and hang with. So it was great when we were getting stuff done and making accomplishments, and we legitimately did that, but it was great when we weren't, because we had a good time, we had pizza, we hung out, and everybody felt comfortable. And then
doing the icebreakers, people were usually nervous and they'd giggle before doing the icebreakers, and then when somebody would say something silly, everywhere would be laughing uncontrollably.
I think there's a certain level of acceptance and trust that the members have here, that what's said here will stay here, and that people can come in whatever space they're in and be accepted for that and be supported.
Yeah, I agree with that. And one of the good things is that every member that does come does openly speak about like where they see it going, whether it be, hey, we can change maybe this certain part of it, moving forward, and I think every month we try to incorporate different things that might be able to help the SYAC continue.
We also had a meeting that I remember where we talked about the LGBTQ community and how we can better serve young adults who are LGBTQ and homeless. And I feel like that meeting really resonated with me, and the feedback people gave about their own experiences with homelessness are things I'll never forget. People were so open and honest, and had a lot of raw stories, but also just shared such an important perspective that I would have never even thought about.
Saying it's always good to take resources that you do learn and share them in the community. So it worked out pretty good, and I love being a tri-chair with my other two great facilitators. It's never a dull moment.
I feel like when I went to my first meeting, the first thing I remembered was walking away feeling really happy and feeling like I could share my own story in a safe space. So I think that's the best way to describe it, is safe, judgment-free, I guess. And fun too. I think that's a really good part, is there's also this social environment that makes you want to keep coming back, because there's fun people here who engage, and it's an opportunity to network, but it's also just an opportunity to chit chat with friends and give feedback. So I think that's kind of like the best of both worlds for the culture of professional opportunities and also really just kind of a social network.
I also like that it's a good mixture of like programs come here, people from the community come here. So I think it's a good mixture of different perspectives and different experiences. I think that every experience has value.
SYAC gives young people an opportunity to develop their leadership muscles and their advocacy muscles by helping them to speak out.
There is no judgment. No matter who is here, everybody treats each other with respect, and people even can get emotional and still not be judged, or talk about things in a safe space where people around them will understand.
As a co-chair, I think I learned a lot of skills about how to facilitate a conversation, how to deal with differing perspectives and opinions, and make sure everyone felt safe in a space where people had really passionate opinions about mental health and different perspectives. And I also learned how to kind of have fun and do work at the same time.
I also like the fact that I can meet other peers in the community, because we can talk about different things that we may have trouble with, or things that maybe I have done that somebody else hasn't, or vice versa, and we can help each other out.
Yep.
Help more youth that way.
Even when you're having a bad day, you come here and like for example, I've come here on bad days and I haven't felt like I've been able to contribute much or that I can offer much to the group, but that even on those really bad days, you still mean something and you're still valued.
I think it's important because I think that the voice of young adults with mental health diagnosable symptoms is valid and should be heard. And if you want to know how they should be treated and what could help them, they're the people to talk to about that. They're the experts on that part of the system and that part of the treatment that should be given to them. So, it's very important that they're given a voice, and that's what the Statewide Youth Advisory Council is to me. It's a place where young adults with mental health issues can have their voice heard to other young adults with mental health issues, general population, their families, the system. It's a megaphone for young adults with mental health diagnosable experiences.